Suicide Squad, Hill the Justice League, The Disaster. Here webcomics here. After my plainly difficult parody called Suicide Squad, An Anatomy of Failure, I went on to other projects and recently realized that I forgot about seasons 2 through 4 and the crappy ending. This is what this video is for. I will not be trying to sound like plainly difficult this time. I'll just talk normally. There is a lot to talk about, so let's get started. First of all, at the time of this recording, or writing, November 9th, 2025, Suicide Squad, Kill the Justice League, because we hate them, has been out for almost 2 years. It was a live service for one. During that time, they had a very specific schedule and a very predictable suite of things they would give players every time. First was the launch content, which in my opinion should have been the whole game. Unlike most live service games, most of the story was in the launch content. The heroes we Arkham fans have wanted to play as for years all went to fight Brainiac, and they all got brainwashed because they all were idiots. And now they are running around the city leading armies of Brainiac goons who will shoot and transform the people of Metropolis into more Brainiac goons. This is what I like to call a fraudulent sequel. It goes against the lore of the previous games, a woke trait, and makes the heroes of those games sidelined, weakened, corrupted, or killed. And then they replace them with characters they like better that aren't as good. See, baby, the writers of this game love doing that with all the franchises they get control of. So keep them away from yours. Anyway, weaker, lesser fan fiction versions of the characters from the Justice universe replace the Justice League characters we wanted to play as, and were able to beat Brainiac's army and the corrupt Justice League members with guns. Yes, there was clumsy flailing you could do, to shield harvest, which was never a thing in the Arkham series, but they really wanted you to use the guns. It was a Fortnite ripoff after all. Anyway, after hours of flopping around in the air and shooting at things, all while hating on the Justice League, the launch content ended. The Justice League dead, and these gun-toting losers celebrating that, and that there are 12 more Brainiacs to kill. Needless to say, I hated it. This game was an insult to the Arkham series, the Justice League, and fans of those things. Now, if it had and it ended there, it would have been an insulting, fraudulent sequel that would have been dismissed as woke fan fiction, just like Dragon Age Veilguard, Alan Wake 2, The Last of Us 2, all those other mistakes. Mistakes masquerading as games. But WB decided to take things to the nth degree and make Suicide Squad the Oppressor a live service game. I really don't think it should have been. First of all, it had only 4 playable characters at launch. Now, for a single-player game, that's good. In fact, 4 players is the most players of any Arkham game. But for a live service game, 4 players is piddling. I've seen failed live service games with more playable characters at launch. That, combined with the story of the game, makes me believe that it should never have been a live service. But seeing as it was, I need to go over the seasons of the game to see how they compare to other games. Unlike a game like Helldivers 2, the developers of this game basically dropped the launch content and then didn't give any more content for months. During this time, several new games came out, and they run circles around Suicide Squad. Helldivers 2, Stellar Blade, Black Myth Wukong, Warhammer Space Marines 2, The Last Ronin, and South Park Stone Age, to name a few. After all those games and more came out, Season 1 dropped, and it was more confirmation that Suicide Squad Killed the Company should have not have been a live service game. We got one new character, Jonkler, more assaulting guns and skins that cost way too much, and one more Brainiac boss fight where he copies another Justice League member's boss fight. And don't forget all the grinding for levels you have to do to get through the season. It's all padding. It's all lazy. That was Season 1. Then more months went by, and more games came out that owned Suicide Squad, Kill the White Male Heroes and his friends. Then Season 2 came out, and the roadmap was confirmed. We got one new character, Mrs. Freeze, more assaulting guns and skins, and more grinding, and one more boss fight imitating other boss fights. Mrs. Freeze was not like Mr. Freeze at all. She only looked like him. Her gameplay style was the same as everyone else, but at least she had freeze boots. She used those to blast off and slide around in the air on a patch of ice and snow. And when she gets powered up enough, she can glide around in circles above groups of enemies. And the ice and snow that falls on them causes damage. She is yet another fanfiction character that Sweet Baby made to replace the actual ones in the Arkham universe. The only thing I liked about her is that you can dress her up like Mr. Freeze on Batman Arkham Knight. But the best thing about Season 2 was that after you beat the Brainiac, you rescue the real Flash. Sadly, he was not playable, but it was fun to see the clone theory confirmed. The Justice League members that we killed as those losers were not the real ones. I had hoped that we would eventually get all of them back and then play as them with Suicide Squad controls. But that never happened. We only got to play as those fan fiction losers. And speaking of which, after a few more months and even more better games came out, we got Season 3 with the most annoying character of the whole game. Lawless. I call her Kimberly Lawless because she looks almost exactly like her. She's supposed to be Black Deadshot's daughter, and she plays just like him, except she Columbus, aka stole Brainiac tech, which allows her to fly and shoot energy blasts. And yet, she uses the same guns everyone else uses too. More insulting, overpriced guns and skins that were supposed to be playable characters came out, and the story we got was a super cool young modern lady wants to join a team, and she is so cool. She saved Black Green Lantern and knew where Mr. Freeze was before he did. And at the end of that season, we got Lawless as a playable character and Black Green Lantern as another decoration for the base operations. Season 4 came along. Season 4 came along after a few more months, and the final chapter was revealed. The one they strung us along with. Final character. Oh boy. The final character was revealed. I spelled character wrong there. Was revealed. The one they strung us along with for the whole year. This game was live service. The whole year, this game was live service. We're whiffing a bit by this game. We're going to keep going. It's a learning process. The one they strung us along with for the whole year, this game was live service. The only Deathstroke. Except he's an old man who doesn't want to fight Batman anymore because he's gone to therapy. That was bullcrap. So was the fact that he said he misses guns. Missed guns. Deathstroke does not use guns. He's an armored ninja. He has killed whole squads of soldiers who have tried to use guns on him. The writing in this game is garbage. Anyway, those are all the playable characters in this insult of a game. Yes, there were some fun jokes, like the squad playing rock, paper, scissors for the chance to save Black Green Lantern. The silhouette of Batman being a cardboard cutout of Batman with Deathstroke crouching in front of it. And that Brainiac boss fight that was just goons, because when Brainiac came down to fight, turn into another copy of a Justice League boss fight, he was interrupted by a sword going through his heart. He then fell to the ground, and we see that Deathstroke has stabbed him. He sheathed his sword and then said, "You listen to his speeches?" That was the end of that boss fight. Then came the ending. At this point, he had no real expectations about the game. I wrote it off after the launch content. And apparently, so did the game devs. We get one boss fight, and one motion comic, and one screen that tells us the game is over. The boss fight was pretty standard. Your characters jumped and shot their way past all of Brainiac's goons, and the last of the Brainiac copies of the Justice League boss fights. They did let Black Green Lantern and the Flash fight a bit, but they still weren't playable. We got to see a large Green Lantern construct, and he shot missiles at Brainiac. Then we got to see the Flash run around. Both made silly jokes, and eventually we saw Brainiac fall over. It then went to the motion comic ending. The Suicide Squad confront the last Brainiac, and Harley Quinn narrates how things went down. She says that they got into Brainiac's base, and he was steamed. And then Superman shows up and says, "That's enough," to Brainiac. Brainiac says, "Kryptonian, you are too discombobulated to fight." Ha ha. Harley doesn't understand the big words. I'll always make fun of that joke. Anyway, Superman then says stuff like, "Don't you know, Brainiac? Anything is possible with a little help from your friends." They thought he meant the Suicide Squad, but he really meant Batman. Then Batman swings in and punches Brainiac in the face, knocking him out. Now, many people were wondering about how Batman and Superman were able to do this, and my theory is that the Suicide Squad had Flash and Black Green Lantern with them. And after beating the Brainiac copies, they got into the final Brainiac base and distracted him long enough for Black Green Lantern and the Flash to free Batman and Superman. I actually thought the ending would be worse. I thought the Suicide Squad losers would beat Brainiac and then free the Justice League, and they would be so amazed they'd say, "Wow, Suicide Squad, you're so powerful. You should join the Justice League." And then they'll say, "No thanks, we're good as is." And then they would ride off into the sunset to have more thrilling adventures. Things were not that bad, but they were close. Our heroes, some of the most powerful heroes in the DC universe, were sidelined, weakened, and or killed, and replaced with losers that Sweet Baby liked more. After a year of shame, we finally got the ending of the game. The Justice League members that were killed were clones, except Wonder Woman. And they saved the real ones from impossible odds. Unfortunately, this does not make the Suicide Squad members you played as look good. It makes Sweet Baby look horrible. That and the $200 million debt that this game helped create. Thanks for making it a life service, WB. That made a bad game even worse. An unmitigated disaster. Now for the aftermath. Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League got no awards or nominations, and is almost never mentioned by Sweet Baby and friends. It's been snubbed like Dragon Age Veilguard. And rightfully so. It was a horrible game, most likely only made to hate on Batman after he draped Harley Quinn over his shoulder and carried her around with her butt exposed in Batman Arkham Knight. Nearly 10 years to develop. A horrible buggy launch, a horrible story, bland trend-chasing gameplay, a year of greedy, insulting life service slop, and a cheap hand-waving ending. Obviously slapped together at the last minute because, like many life service games, it had to abandon the original plan because it did not live up to the expectations. In my opinion, if you want to make your own fanfiction universe that parodies an amazing game franchise, just get a no-name studio to make a AA or indie game. Don't infiltrate and ruin a legendary studio like Rocksteady and drive off the talent that made the studio amazing so you can make a crappy fanfiction game that won't make its money back. Woke games should not be headline games. They are side games that need funding for more successful projects. You should never make an experiment on your main game. This experiment has failed. See, Baby is now coming back and trying to get people to buy more of their games. I have only one thing to say to them. Did you really think that I would ever take you back? Let you back in my heart one more time? No. Did you think I still care? That there be one feeling there? Did you think you could just walk back in my life? So you learned you missed the love you threw away. Sorry, but you found that out too late. Too late. And so you learned the way it feels to cry. The way that I cried when you broke my world in two. Baby, I learned the way to break a heart. I learned from the best. I learned from you. Oh, baby, I learned from you. I remember cold nights, tears I thought would never dry. How you shattered my world with your goodbye. Your goodbye. Would have sold my soul then, just to have you back again. Now you are the last thing on my mind. Now you say you're sorry and you changed your ways. Sorry, but you changed your ways too late. So you know the way it feels to cry. The way that I cried when you broke my world in two. Maybe I learned the way to break a heart. I learned from the best. I learned from you. Baby, I learned from you. Oh, so now you've made a bunch of debt-filled games. And that's become your claim to fame. Just remember it was you who made them gay and lame. Made them gay and lame. And so you learn the way it feels to cry. The way that I cried when you broke my world in two. Babies, I learned the way to break a heart. I learned from the best. I learned from you the way to break a heart. I learned from the best. I learned from you. I learned from the best. I learned from you. It was bad enough that you messed up the Insomniac Spider universe. You shouldn't have brought Arkham into it.